Sure.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order.
Mhm.
Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approve, or excuse me, minutes from last meeting.
January 15th, 2024. Chairman held roll call the regular meeting of the Wright County Board of Supervisors to order at 9 a.m. Members present were Cluse, Rasmussen, and Hubble. Motion by Cluse, second by Rasmussen to approve the tentative agenda correcting Eagle Grove clerk to Eagle Grove trustee. Motion carries. Minutes of the regular meeting of January 8th, 2024 were read and approved. Approved claims for payment. Motion by Rasmussen, second by Cluse to receive the quarterly revenue report from the Wright County auditor. Motion carries. Motion by Cluse and second by Rasmussen to appoint Todd Guzman to the Eminent Domain Compensation Commission under licensed real estate salesman or real estate brokers. Motion carries. There is one vacant spot for licensed real estate salesman or real estate broker. The appointment for Troy Township trustee and Eagle Grove Township trustee has been tabled to January 22nd. Motion by Rasmussen, second by Cluse to approve the increase in median pay from $30 to $50 for township trustees and clerks. Motion carries. Adam Clemens, Wright County Engineer, gave an update on the secondary roads. All truck personnel were out until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, and out at 5 a.m. on Wednesday, January 10th, due to the winter weather. All personnel were out on Friday, January 12th, doing what they could with the visibility and being pulled off all routes several times throughout the day. Crews were out all day Saturday, January 13th, clearing routes. The total cost for Saturday's operation was $35,687.09 for wages, equipment, and fuel costs. The blower and excavator will be out this week clearing up difficult areas throughout the county. Andrea Edelsteiger with Healthy Harvest gave an annual update to request continued funding. This past year, they have been working on getting fresh food that is Iowa sourced to local food pantries. This may include milk, cheese, vegetables, fruits, and more. This past summer, Healthy Harvest was at the Clarion Farmers Market doing local food demonstrations and hopes to continue that this summer. They are requesting $1,000 contribution for this year in support. This will be considered during budget discussions. Motion by Cluse, second by Rasmussen to adjourn the meeting. Motion carries.
Any additions or corrections? Not clear, will stand approved. Claims have been around. Open forum for the public. Anybody here or on Zoom wish to address the board?
Yes. Good morning.
Morning, Bob.
Morning, Bob.
Can't hear you.
You can hear me okay?
Notice that the owl's eyes are.
Can you hear me?
So make sure down on the.
I got it.
You
Hang on one second, Bob.
It's not there. Can you turn the volume up on the TV?
Yeah, because it'd be coming through there then.
And you said the message there.
And you just sent a message, so.
Hang on one second, Bob.
You bet. I can hear you fine.
Hang on a second, Bob. We got a message from our Andy. We just have an audio issue.
Hello?
Yeah, fine. Well, so that's. Sir.
I will come out after the meeting. I'll give it Okay, thanks. Bye.
Can you speak, Bob?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
I gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Bob. We can hear you now.
Well, naturally, I'm going to talk about the pipeline. I'm sure, Dean, you probably saw the post-hearing reply briefs, and Hardin County was one that I copied off, and which brings me to my questions. Jeremy wouldn't happen to be there, would he?
Not right, not
He
today.
is not.
Okay, I'll get a hold of him later today. He told me that he would let me know when or the planning and zoning board was going to be meeting, and I
Right.
think later this month. And I have some stuff I'd like to show him because the things have changed so much in the last 2 years here. We've learned that the pumping stations aren't under the permitting part for the IUB, and the pumping stations, and of course the water, which none of us have anything to do with, that's the DNR. But there's just some things, I read their minutes of their last meeting, and there's just some things I want to make them aware of, so I want to make sure I know when that meeting is going to be.
Okay.
And I think, were you going to be there too, Dean? Do you know?
If I'm in town, I definitely will. I'm leaving, I think on the 30th or the 31st, and I'll be gone for 7 days.
Okay. Well, he said the end of the month, so they'll probably have it before then, I hope, so that you're here too. But anyway, that's just some things that I'll admit, if I knew 2 years ago what I know now about supercritical state and some other things, the Farm Bureau on their briefing, I've spent too much time reading this weekend. I like to read, but not briefs, okay? Anyway, the Farm Bureau, the biggest thing was the easements and the eminent domain part. That's what their brief was, if you read that. But I'd like to give them the easements, the way they were written and the way they would like them written too, because I think it'd be advantageous to all Wright County citizens and taxpayers.
Did you happen to read Anna Ryan? She included a red line easement in hers. Did you happen to review that?
Yep, that one and Farm Bureaus both has some excellent stuff in it.
Okay.
So I guess that's all. Can I get a hold of Jeremy by just calling the
Engineer's office, yeah.
Yep.
secondary roads?
That's correct.
Yep, okay, very good. Thank you.
You
Thank you,
bet.
Bob. Okay, item number 6, review and receive quarterly government report from the Wright County Recorder. Okay, we have total fees of $84,562.40. Anything to add to that, Denise?
Nope, revenue, what we got to keep is just, I think, maybe $600-700 less than it was last quarter, so we're still doing okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, review and act on payroll adjustment for Amanda Meyer in auditor's office.
And you
And,
missed
No, you
What is
missed
that?
oh, annual report for Wright County Treasurer, I'm sorry. So that up Peggy.
No, I'm forgetting about things.
Most important office, right?
Thank you. You're my favorite.
Next to the court.
Okay, so part of the semi-annual is that I have to tell you where all the money is. Those are the banks and their balances. Here's the actual semi-annual. The only thing I ask is that I have the banks things back, because they have my bank account numbers on it.
Anything that stands out for you, Peggy, any concern?
One concern I do have is, the American Rescue Plan. Because you will see. Oh. Rescue Plan 91. Line 91 on the first page.
Okay.
It's showing a deposit of $50,000. And that, I know when the LATCF money came in, it was built as a project under this fund for American Rescue Plan. So on my semi-annual, it lumps it all together. This fund is showing a deposit of the 50,000, which I believe is the LACTF money.
Correct. There were 2 payments of that, right?
Well, this is what I have since, this is only, July to December.
Okay.
So I don't know if another one's come in or not. So I feel like maybe that's not represented clearly. It looks like we're still getting money for basically COVID instead of, I don't know if it should be in a separate fund,
Line item.
separate fund altogether, or, because I mean, I hate to rename the fund because we still have COVID money things
Right.
going on.
Right.
But I don't know if that money should be moved into a whole new separate fund so that we can track it, because this, I don't feel when it goes to the paper is an accurate representation
Okay.
of what we have in that fund.
Okay.
And even the withdrawals, I mean,
Want to track it separately?
well, I don't know if that's, I don't know right or wrong how it was supposed to be done. But I just feel that it makes my semi-annual look a little wonky, it looks like we're still getting deposits.
So that would be the auditor's office that we would determine whether that should be in a separately tracked.
Right.
Yep.
And it is tracked as far as it has its own project number. So when you were to run like the revenues, and you break it down that far, it will have a
Okay.
different amount. But the fund it's going into is where it's lumping it all together for my report.
You want to touch base with Betty when she gets back then?
I can, yeah. I just don't know, is there anything in the auditor's office that
We can do journal entries.
to move it to the fund? Because we're all still in the same fiscal year,
Yeah.
thankfully, this is the December.
We were looking into it last week and, we can't do the move option that we have because it's not within the same funds. So if we create a new one, we'll just have to do journal entries, but we can.
It can, yeah, that's my only concern.
But this is what would be published.
No, that's not, because that's got my bank account numbers on it.
Okay.
What goes to the papers is basically this top section.
Okay. All right.
I don't publish all that other.
Right.
Where it all gets broken down. You will see like down in those, I think there's a negative. Which is special assessment, city assessment, line 34, you'll see a negative over the fund balance. That happens when we do, a 657A that has a tax sale on it. We have to pull all the money back from the taxing entities. So whatever town that was done in did not have enough money, and so they're gonna run in the negative until they have another city special to.
Pay that amount.
Good information.
Then, on the back page, there's, where it breaks down in the funds. Tax sale fee 4,200.
What, are you on the last page?
No, second page.
Yeah,
Second page.
that's a little over halfway down.
There's a
Yeah,
negative.
that's the same thing, we have
Okay.
to take out the
All
tax
right.
bill.
Yeah.
Our, what we made off of it too.
Okay.
To back that all out, so it all goes in the hole until we start doing more of them.
I would looking to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you,
So you'll touch base with the auditor's office on moving that fund then?
thank you.
Okay, now item number 8. We're gonna go ahead and table Amanda's until next week when Betty gets back in town to clarify a couple things on that. But Jennifer Holcraft.
Oh, great.
In the recorder's office will be going from a clerk to a chief clerk. Recommended by her department head, and that will go from 45,981 to 47,820, 43. Any comments on that, Denise?
Just that, I wanna take her to, chief clerk. Jen has had outstanding performance. We are just so lucky to have her. She is so knowledgeable, so pleasant. In fact, last week I just got an email from a gentleman that she had assisted on the phone, and he said she was so pleasant to work with, so knowledgeable, and he said everything went without a hitch, just as she said it would. So, yeah, commend her, and Amanda's the same way. You know, Betty and I have talked about her too. Just outstanding. They're outstanding individuals, and Wright County is very lucky to have both of them.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to table Amanda's till next week and then go ahead with Jennifer's?
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 9, I think we finally filled our eminent domain. We have our last person to go on that. That would be Todd Swallene with the real estate.
Right, and we're also adding
Adding,
an 8th person under owners of city and town property.
Yep, Darren Baker. So that fills our slate. So
I would make a motion to appoint Darren Baker under owners of city and town property and Todd Swalen under licensed real estate salesman or real estate brokers for the eminent domain compensation commission.
I would second that.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Is it DARREN?
O-N.
O-N.
Okay, make appointment for Troy Township trustee, Eagle Grove trustee. We're still working on Troy Township trustee, but we do have Alec Amundson has agreed to be the Eagle Grove Township trustee. He was asked last week and agreed, so I need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yes. Let's hear back from them this week here. Adam, Wright County engineer, semi-roads update.
So blades out last week, cleaning up from their winter work from the prior. So widening, winging intersections, roads, any drifts that they had, tapering to set up for the next one. Trucks were out checking hard surfaces, helping with granular routes. We did have some breakdowns. I think we had a wing get busted off, just a banjo bolt. So, but it had to be hauled back to town and put back on. So, then obviously working around the shop to get their machines, any issues with their machines. Work orders 21, you'll see 14 of those were snow removal with the blower. So you'll see we went out with our blower and excavator and moved back drifts that we had where we had tunneling on the roads and trying to get everything widened out. I talked to the guys this morning about making snow fence with the snow. So they're going to be trying to reach out to landowners on those specific areas to get them, maybe get some snow fence put out in the fields. So you can see our winter operations. We went out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just kind of cleaning up. Thursday, we did have some extended hours. And then Friday, we came back in and trucks came out 5 and blades at 7, ran all the routes. I told you I'd bring the cost analysis for Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday for January 14th. This was actually all regular time due to they can't get overtime until after 40. So it was only for the amount of hours that we had on that Sunday versus the Saturday, it was only $200-300 difference in the amount of hours. So I think we had 9 hours of overtime on Saturday, but then we had 12 hours of regular time on Sunday. So guys, so what the paper said about $70,000 weekend is almost correct.
It tallies up fast.
It does. Yep. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 12 is a timed event. If you want to ask me, old business, new business, update on meetings. Gentlemen.
I have a meeting tomorrow night for Udmo in Fort Dodge.
Fortunately, attended ISAC University on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. And then this week I have IDDA meeting on Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Midas Council of Governments, and on Thursday, CFR.
Okay, then, sweet.
I just got Udmo coming up on Tuesday night.
Okay. Tomorrow I've got a meeting with Daryl Stevens and Mike Boyd, mayor of Eagle Grove, Denny Batterwater, and Councilman Pamprin. We'll be discussing the industrial park, kind of going through some of the stuff with the sewer system, just to bring them up to speed and kind of bring. That is, and then I have a decap on Wednesday. That covers me for the week.
And you saw where the Midas meeting was moved up 30 minutes, it's at 3:30,
I did not,
3:30 on Wednesday, sir.
3:30, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, we'll be in recess until
I'm,
9:30.
not yet.
Okay, we're back 9:30. Joanne Athey with Wright County Charitable Foundation to give annual update and a request for continued funding. Good morning.
Good morning, Carl. Rick and Dee. As always, thanks for the opportunity to give our annual update or report for the Wright County Charitable Foundation. And also, just as a side note, I want to thank you, three fellows, for your efforts toward the county too. I know it's a lot of effort, a lot of work, and you got a lot of different things to discuss, but please know that it doesn't go unnoticed, so. Thank you, sir. Okay, I handed out three different things to the three of you. One is a booklet, and that's actually from the Iowa Council of Foundations. And then I handed out a sheet that lists the current funds under our umbrella. And then a summary of our various grants that we have granted over the period of our foundation being in existence. And just to recap again, it's kind of a full story. You three fellows, you've heard my update every year for a few years now. And but again, we started this process back in December of 2004. So we're closing in on 20 years as of the end of the year. So 20 years is now going by, and Carl, you were on it, in the board back then too, or whatever, so amazing again, like you say, how time flies by with 20 years and now closing in on it, so. Again, the main two purposes are what our foundation does is, grants out money to worthy causes within the county. And also work with individuals, agencies, or groups as far as building what we call endowments or funds to eventually put back into the various county for worthwhile projects. You would maybe in your booklet on that page 6, which is shows in the lower portion of the page. As you know, just to get a reminder, you know, all the non-gaming counties gets 0.8% of the gaming revenue every year, regardless of size of the county. So this is a nice synopsis of from 2006 through 2022, what each non-gaming county has received, which is the right-hand column there on page 6. This report is on fiscal year ending in 22. We'll be getting another book that ends in 23, probably another month or so. So that's why it shows 21, 22 in the front. With that said, the 23 amount from the gaming funds was $158,914, $158,914, which came to our account back in August, actually. So that's a summary of the gaming distributions. Each county, as you may remember from past years, is listed in this booklet, and actually alphabetically, we're toward the back. You want to actually page 49. That lists Wright County. And again, a reminder, we're an affiliate of a host foundation and the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines, which has worked out from day one, back when Denny was the Economic Development Director, when we got this process all started back in, again, December of '04. We elected to go to with a host foundation instead of standing on our own, and that just worked out very well, because they can give us back office support as far as investment opportunities, and just, and also we can kind of touch base with other affiliates like ourselves that has connected with Des Moines. Currently, Des Moines has 44 different affiliates under their umbrella. On go back to page 3, actually, it shows what counties are affiliated with Des Moines. Kind of, we'll call it the salmon color there. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a distribution of what counties are doing the same as we are. So that's kind of just a quick overview, a recap of the booklet here. If you'd like to keep the book to look at your leisure, feel free to do so. If you feel, I know you got more than enough to do or whatever, but if you don't want to take a look at the book, if you, I'll take it when I leave here, because it's I only got 3 or 4 books or whatever. So, okay, then going over to the 2 other sheets that I provided to you. Single sheet that I got right on the Chevrolet Foundation on top is a listing of our current funds that we have under our umbrella. So if you just want to take a glance through the names, as you can see, there's, again, as in the past, there's all the way from working with individuals, church involved, there's like Hagen Manufacturing, business corporation, nonprofits, and so on and so forth. So a pretty good variety of the type of funds we've worked with and established over our past number of years. In the lower portion there, in my own handwriting, I just wanted to give you a little synopsis. Again, we have, as of December 31st, we have 38 funds under our umbrella. 12/31 balance was over $8 million. Total contributions into the various funds in 23 total $172,603.29. And the dollar amount of grants that came out of the various funds totaled just short of $350,000.
That was for last year.
Yeah, this last year, yeah. Yeah, the 348, 288, 48 represents not only the gaming revenue that we've got to be granted out, is whatever the figure is that we get from the state, refresh your mind, 75% of that has to be granted out in the 12-month period. The other 25% goes into our permanent endowment for future granting, future use.
So 75% of the 158,914
Will
is
be
used for granting.
this coming year.
Okay.
That's right. In fact, our granting, maybe touch on that a bit. As of last year, in the past, we've always had 2 granting cycles, a spring and fall cycle. We now have went, starting last year and continuing on from here on, at least again for this year, going to do it just on an annual basis. The reason for that is partly due to a little more simplicity, a little less book work, as it does take a certain amount of time to put all the applications together and that type of thing. So, and I think we were about the only county within the affiliate structure that did it twice a year. So anyway, we do it, we're gonna do it once again annually, once a year. And that granting application period is currently on from January 1st to February 15th. Yeah.
Then you have your announcement in.
Yeah, just, so.
It's been all the newspapers along with, we put it out on Facebook twice a week.
Okay.
So when February 15th comes, that's the final date, then with the assistance of Daryl Stephen and Kim with the Wright County Economic Development Office, they'll compile the information and get it together in good order. Then our granting committee will review it. And once they have a chance to review it, then they submit their recommendations to the full board. So it does take a period of time, and once the full board, approves, the grants that we'll be granting out, then we submit it to Des Moines just to put their final approval on it. So it does take, roughly 6 weeks, give or take, the time we'll get it all said and done, so.
Do you still have kids that help with that granting?
Yeah, good question, yeah.
Two from each school district, each school.
And that's gone on now for, what, 10 years, Denny, maybe?
Yeah.
More
than that now.
Yeah.
About 12 years.
And that's worked out well. It just, once again, gives a little perspective of, the youth of that age group, what may be important to them when they look at grant applications versus adults. We might think that certain things are important with, different applicants, but they may look at it different. So it's worked out very well. There are other, affiliates across the state that do involve youth, but, still not a lot of them. So we're one of the few. We're actually the first one that actually started that process, or whatever. So it's worked out well from that standpoint.
And the funds that are now Iowa qualified, those are tax deductible off of your state income tax, dollar for dollar, or a percentage of that?
Dollar for dollar.
Dollar for dollar.
What Dean's saying there, say if a person, donates to a Dow Iowa fund, the donor gets a 25% state tax credit. So example, say if you made figuratively speaking, $1,000 donation to a Dow Iowa fund, 25% of that's $250. So, that donor would get a $250 state tax credit. So if they have a state tax obligation on their personal income tax, state income tax, they'd be able to subtract off the full 250. So it is a real attractive, beneficial item as far as that Dow Iowa tax credit.
And then the other, so not qualified, those endowment funds, can you speak to those?
You bet. So from the Dow Iowa standpoint, that's a benefit to the donor as far as additional tax benefit. To the recipient, let's say, and Dean knows this, the Wright County Fair, for example, has an Dow Iowa fund. They, on whatever their Dow Iowa balance is as of previous 12/31, they can only use up to 5% of that amount. So a little more restrictive on the recipient, but again, endowments are really meant for good forever type thing for the long term. So by just taking 5% off that, hopefully the principal will not only stay intact, but hopefully from investment growth will actually grow. So that's on the Dow Iowa standpoint. Again, on the other comment Dave was making, we can also work with groups that have a non-Dow Iowa fund. From that standpoint, the donor will not get a Dow Iowa tax credit. They will, if they itemize on their income tax, they still will be able to get a deduction from that standpoint. But the benefit to the group, the organization, they can use any amount, anytime they want to.
They could draw that balance down to zero if they wanted to. Then Dow Iowa is designed to, you can't ever get your hands back on,
The
So the-
entire,
I don't know what you would call that, core funds or whatever.
yeah, or the entire thing,
Right.
at one time.
So the $8 million that's in there, they can use up to 5% of that for donation.
Good question. No, that 8,334,5889 is the grand total dollar value of all types of funds. So
Okay.
if you look at that list of 38 funds, there are a few in there that are so noted in the right-hand column that are non-Dow Iowa.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
that full figure covers all our funds.
Understood.
Anyway, that in Dow Iowa program has certainly been very attractive from day one. And again, the reason for that, state certainly back then was using their good ingenuity as far as that concept, because that certainly keeps wealth transfer within the state of Iowa. And for many years now, they've had $6 million of state tax credits. So if you use your math there, that means there'd have to be $24 million of philanthropy that stays within the state. So that's been going on for 10, 15 years now, or whatever, I multiply that out. And it's gone on so well that now Iowa tax credits have been used up now almost a year in advance. So last year, the state put in put an additional $7 million as kind of a catch-up, because it was just getting so backlogged that a donor would be donating into an Dow Iowa fund, maybe for 2025 back in 2023, so to speak. So they put a $7 million additional fund to play catch-up, and that worked out very well. Now this year it'll be $6 million again, like normal, but now there's no waiting list, so to speak. So whatever there is, whatever's there. When the $6 million is used up this year in 25 and 24, then it's possible that donors may not get it if the $6 million is already used up.
Because they're wanting that 25% state tax credit. I mean,
Right,
yeah,
right.
But it's great for the state too, because they get
yeah.
extra.
Exactly, yeah, it's really a win-win concept, and also that's in Dow, Iowa, again, I'm not here to explain how the whole process works, but say a person had an IRA, for example, and maybe they're in a required minimum distribution stage of their life, they could take that IRA, make a distribution directly to the Dow Iowa fund. They'd be avoiding any income tax on that portion. Plus, as if you're getting a cake and eating it too, they'd be able to get 25% state tax credit on that amount too. So say if somebody gave $10,000 from their IRA to a Dow Iowa fund and have it go directly to the fund, even if they wouldn't itemize,
Right.
you'd be sheltering tax on that, plus getting 25% state tax credit on that also. So anyway, it's that program is certainly worked out very well, and again, it certainly preserved wealth transfer from leaving our state, because again, it's such a mobile society anymore. When death occurs, a lot of times if their families are out of state, that money will leave the state. So that concept's worked out very well.
So, on the Wright County side, will we be granting just the $119,000 from the gaming stuff, or will you?
Yeah.
We don't, there isn't a Wright County piece of the pie in the Endow, Iowa, that Wright County gets 5% of, right?
Yeah.
Or is there?
Yeah, another good question. I was gonna mention that. So of the, what did I say, that $158,000, we'll say that we're getting from gaming revenue. 75% of that is already calculated. So we're required, what, 119,000?
Yes, sir.
So 119,000 is required to be donated out.
Right.
But on that other 25% that we're putting into a permanent endowment, we do have the capability, if we feel there's a need out there, of same as a Wright County Fair, so to speak, can use up to 5% of our previous 12/31 balance. Anyway, our permanent endowment, we call that, is growing over the years too. So we could tap into that up to 5% in addition to our gaming fund.
Gotcha. Okay.
We haven't really done that in the past. We've kind of felt at this point that what our applications were, we were able to kind of pretty much
Meet the need.
meet the need from that standpoint. I could be wrong if we, maybe a time or two, but in general, we have not.
Okay.
So that leads me to the other point, looking on that fund sheet where I have total grants of $348, you might think, well, if we're just granting out $120,000, where's the other come from? The other comes from, again, those other fund holders that we have in that 38 funds, because those individuals or entities have also utilized their funds to grant out. So again, if it wasn't for our foundation, we wouldn't be able to have or that those folks were not able to have a fund of their own, so.
Right.
So.
But they aren't reflected on this sheet,
No.
because it goes back to the individual entity.
Correct.
Yeah,
Example of that would be the Richard O. Jacobson Fund for Belmont.
right,
Right.
okay.
So if that makes sense, through our gaming revenue portion, as well as other funds that are listed throughout the 2023, there was 348,288.48 rounded out. And like Darrell Stevens said, and I've said this in previous years too, certainly without our foundation being in existence,
Yep.
we wouldn't have the opportunity to be a leg or a service to them, which has worked out very well. It's a great thing
Absolutely.
for the community of Belmont and from that standpoint, and,
So anyway, you're taking advantage of both avenues, because you get the money from the state and still making all the other connections. for it.
right, right, yeah. And it's all, all about kind of relationship building, as you can see, again, it's quite a variety of, fund holders and also across the spectrum of Wright County too, it isn't just, say, one location within Wright County, from that standpoint either, so. So I would say that's the overview of the funds, back on the grants, the sheet there that from, even though we started our process of, getting ourselves organized back in December of '04. It took about a year to get ourselves up and running, to be a qualified foundation. So it was in spring of 2006, or the year of 2006, maybe that money was determined at the end of 2005 is when the gaming revenue was actually first given out, and that correlates to what I just showed in that book there, 2006 was the first one. So that gives who actually got them, but if you refer back to the back page of that, our granting information, on the lower portion, it shows the various communities within Wright County that have gotten, the far right-hand column is actually the amount of grants they've received, from the beginning. So Belmont 375, ironically, Clarion about the same amount. Eagle Grove and Dow's, Oakville, Rowan, Renwick, Woolstock, and there's been some grants that are maybe not specific to one of the communities, so we've just included those in the county-wide identification. So the amount funded through the end of '23, we ran out $1,626,653, and that went toward column to the left of total project cost of over $20 million. So certainly a number of our grants have helped certain smaller type projects come to fruition that may have not been able to accomplish without our assistance or whatever. So when you look at it as a whole, since the beginning of our foundation, that's pretty impactful as far as over $20 million of projects across the county that hopefully have impacted people's lives in different ways of their various passionate type projects or whatever. So that's just want to point that out as far as kind of a summary figures what the impact has been. Then I've mentioned this in previous years too. There's a pretty good number of affiliates, we'll say, within the 44 affiliates that pretty much just kind of depend on or work with their gaming revenue portion, money in and then money out, but they don't really work on the endowment building side. So that's just kind of a in and out type thing, more of a just a granting type foundation. But we have pretty much from day one, we've emphasized also the development portion. As Denny knows and Carl knows for sure, back in the early days, we thought if we could eventually get $1 million in our foundation, we thought that would be great, and then it would will that ever be the case, and now we're over $8 million. So it has worked from that standpoint. Let's see. might mention our current, board, we, from day one, and Danny and Daryl Stevens can attest to this. Been our practice, we don't have any one, bigger city in the county, as we all know, like say, Western City in Hamilton County, or Iowa Falls in Martin County, and so on, in Marshall, town in Marshall County. So we try to, have board members, if possible, kind of represent all the, various communities in Wright County. That's from day one to currently, that's still the status. Our current board members are in no special order: Adam Bory out of Dow's, Kevin Callahan in Eagle Grove, Amy Froling from Rowan, Kyle Marker out of Clarion, Denny with us today from Clarion, Alan Cedar from Goldfield, Chris Morris from Belmont, and Candy Jones from Woolstock. It's been a few years at Woolstock, we haven't had a representative, so it's Candy Jones has been here with us for, I think it's her second year. So, again, a good smattering of representation throughout the county. Certainly at the same time, again, as you folks know, you really are what we call our sponsorship of our foundation. Back when it started, again, back when Denny was the economic development director, each say non-gaming county needed a sponsor. Some counties had the extension service, for example. However, that was back then, the county was, with supervisors, were our sponsors, so and that's why I give you at least an annual report from that standpoint. That being the case, we get good assistance from the Economic Development Office, currently from Daryl Stephen. We want to thank Daryl Stephen and Kim for their back office work. They're much appreciated. And certainly want to thank you for your past support to our foundation. Again, you as a sponsor, we appreciate your support. In the past, it's gonna reflect or at one time or definitely for a while there, you were giving us $9,000 of support. For the last 2 or 3 years now, it's been $4,500. Certainly any amount is appreciated, that's for sure, without question. However, at the same time, we as a foundation feel what's just been displayed as far as the amount of funds we handle, the fiduciary responsibility and so on. And the amount of, like say, this past year, $350,000 of money going out, we feel that 9,000 is not out of line for the ask again. So that I would throw out a $9,000 request again, just for the impact that I think we're making here within the county. Also, as I've said in past years, it kind of keeps your door more quiet as far as different entities or whatever knocking on the door. Can you give us some support? You have the blessing and the freedoms today. Check with the Wright County Charitable Foundation, or they have granting opportunities to come up or whatever. So I think that's a good benefit too, to have you kind of address items that are not necessarily more important, but you don't have to deal with this type of thing. So I think for that service too, I think we do provide a good service within the county for the last 20 years for various reasons. This is displayed. So kind of with that, Denny was here. Denny is a current board member too. Denny, any comments from?
Well, you know, when we first started this, none of you were here. And they sent us to Des Moines to kind of look at it and see if we could participate in it. And it just, you know, it occurs to me that after a period of time, I saw we were moving along and increasing that amount that we had to have so that we could develop to get to these numbers. And then all of a sudden, I understand certainly from the supervisor standpoint is, look at those dollars that they've got. They've got plenty to do. And my point is that if you're taking a look at evaluation of what you're getting for the dollar that you would put into it, there probably is not anybody that comes in here that turns the kind of dollars over that is good for the county and is good for every one of the communities in this. Everyone has an opportunity to participate in that, and that's their job to do. And it promotes them. There's things in the county that they don't have to come back to you. And that's really kind of how it started. The supervisors were just at one time inundated for about 3 months of everybody walking in here and wanting dollars. And this is a place that they can actually go, and you don't have to worry about it, except understanding exactly where the dollars are going and they're being handled properly. So, you know, I encourage you, if you can see fit to get those dollar figures back up for us. It helps for us. Dwayne has to go out and do the endowment part of it. That's one of the things that many counties don't do. That's why their numbers stay the same. Our numbers continue to go up, which allows us to be able to do more granting. So, you know, that's my feeling, and we go through a number of people that are on the boards, because you can go on 6 years and then you must go off. And we bring other people back in, and that gets us so that we have more knowledge of what's happening in the charitable foundation throughout all the different cities. So I just, you know, I encourage you, if you possibly can come up with those dollars, we would certainly appreciate it, and we can certainly use those. Thanks.
Thanks, Denny. Daryl Steven, with your.
Again, it's, we actively promote the community foundation through the newspaper, through our Facebook. As I'm going out to the chamber meetings and the council meetings, I'm also promoting it that way. Woolstock, actually was awarded this past year, $7,000 for improvements, in Woolstock, so it's working. It's definitely working.
Final comment I would have is, with our affiliates of the 48, we've been routinely, with our asset value as it is, we're in the top 5 to 10% of all the 44 affiliates within Community Foundation Greater Des Moines. So we feel good about that. It doesn't necessarily impact you folks, whatever, but at least it shows that we're making an impact, doing things that for the betterment of Wright County.
I never thought we'd see $8 million in our county 20 years ago.
Is that right? Exactly.
I think $1 million is like huge.
A long shot.
Yeah.
Right. But again, we appreciate your past support, emphasize that. Also totally realize that, you've got a good number of other, budget items and requests, to address or whatever, but hopefully you can understand and get the feel of hopefully the positive impact our entity has provided Wright County. So, yeah, if you can see that, appreciate that. So
It shows a return, especially on the endowment part, because otherwise that wouldn't be there.
right, right. So unless there's any other questions, I think it's 10 o'clock, is that the deadline?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, yeah, thank you very much.
I'm gonna let you take this.
Yeah.
I did write in it. I wrote the 23 figure in it.
Perfect.
Thank you. You
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Nope, okay.
Thank you.
Hey, is there anything else before the board today? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.